Hey everybody, Rob Bernholz here for AE Tuts Plus, and today we're going to pick up kind of where we left off with the last Zaxwerks ProAnimator tutorial. This is just some real world stuff. I use ProAnimator all the time and really love it. Now in the last tutorial we built this 3D logo out of an Illustrator file, but we never left the ProAnimator standalone application. When we work with ProAnimator inside After Effects, it adds several levels of functionality. We can really take things to another level, and hopefully when this is done you'll really be able to do some very cool 3D with Zaxwerks, ProAnimator, and After Effects. So here's a new project in After Effects, new comp, and we'll run this through as fast as we can. Let's just go standard DV. Maybe we'll call this 10 seconds today just for our demo purposes. Step number one, we're going to add a new solid. We'll just make it comp size, color doesn't matter, and to this we're going to add the ProAnimator plugin. Now that's all the way down here under Zaxwerks ProAnimator. We'll choose create a new scene, and here is the ProAnimator effect control shows up. We have the big ProAnimator logo. It says click to edit. The word options and click to edit will do the same thing. If we click to edit, we will launch ProAnimator. Now this looks just like what we've been seeing previously. It is the full ProAnimator application with just one minor change in here. Maybe two changes. But the big one is what used to be our render button now just says OK. And that's because whatever work we do in ProAnimator, when we click OK, sends that back to After Effects. Now let's go ahead and open up the previous logo that we created. I saved it as a scene, so let's open up a ProAnimator scene, and that's right here, the Skyliners 3D logo. Here is our logo. I'm going to hit play, and there it is back there, just as we left it. Only this time, rather than hit render, if I click OK, we come back here and look at this. Right on our layer in After Effects is our fully rendered 3D model. Now we're using the After Effects renderer to do this, and everything shows up. One thing though is it renders very slow if we're set at full size. Now I have my comp at half resolution. It's still pretty slow. So it's important to understand here the old draft button, or the old draft switch. With fast computers today and After Effects, a lot of people don't even bother switching to draft mode anymore. You just drop your resolution. But in ProAnimator, inside After Effects, this becomes very handy. If we go to draft mode, now notice what happened to our ProAnimator render. It's aliased, it's very low resolution, and if I hit my spacebar, away we go. We can move very fast inside After Effects. I mean, there's just no rendering. It just flies along. Real time. But now that we've opened up ProAnimator and made it available inside of After Effects, how is it that this can be so much more powerful beyond just doing standard comping like applying a filter or some backgrounds? Well, let's get into that. And speaking of backgrounds, let's go ahead and add something to at least fill in our checkerboard here. Let's double click, and I have some clouds. I know I have a file here that's called, here we go, Warm Clouds HD. This is again just left over from a previous production. And these were some color corrected clouds. I don't actually even like this color for now, so nothing to do with Zaxwerks. I'm just going to kind of undo my old color correction. Let's hit some auto color. I'm going to say snap neutral, and kind of removes most of my old color there. If I turn that off, now we have some clouds in the background. Can never go wrong with clouds as a background. But we didn't come here to put backgrounds on 3D logos. We want to see how much more powerful ProAnimator can be. So let's go over here to layer number 1 where we applied ProAnimator and change its name. Blue solid, not too descriptive. Let's call this the ProAnimator layer. And if we move over here to the plugin, you see there are very few controls up on the top, but we do have this one section here called Layer Maps and a little twirly arrow. So let's untwirl that. And what we see are 10 options for layer maps. And they're all blank. But what we can do here is pull down one of these menus and select any layer in our comp. So for the moment we only have the HD clouds. Let's go ahead and select that. It doesn't do anything right here in After Effects. That's strictly for ProAnimator. But what we can do is edit our model in ProAnimator by clicking Click to Edit. Relaunches ProAnimator. And if we come over here to our model, actually I've left these locked previously. Let's go to our city skyline, unlock it. I'm just going to solo it here because we just see our buildings. But let's look at some of the materials we've applied. I'm just going to highlight this one. And on the material setup, we have an outside bevel here with this material number 2. Let's double click on it. Now, in the materials earlier, we just used the colors from ProAnimator. We didn't apply anything extra. But since we can adjust things like relativity or bumpiness, reflectivity, let's make this layer a little more reflective. And we have these little blank pull downs. Every layer map we add from After Effects shows up here as a potential texture we can apply. So for reflectivity, we choose the layer map 1. We had assigned the clouds to that. If I click on that, here in ProAnimator we won't see it. You see it just says layer map, just to tell us we've applied a layer map. And we can kind of adjust how reflective we want. Let's say that we like that. Let's move over here to our OK button. OK used to be render. In this version, it sends us back to After Effects. And look at this. Let's go back to high resolution here. Now we see reflected the layer we assigned as a layer map. It's now a reflection map. Looks really sweet. Look at those clouds will be reflected. A beautiful surface. Let's go back into ProAnimator. Turn off that soloing here. Now this is a good time to point out a gotcha, a problem that plagues a lot of people. Even advanced people forget this sometimes, but certainly people who haven't used ProAnimator. The OK button is really important to use every time you want to leave ProAnimator. It's tempting to just click back here on After Effects since you see it. But what happens is if we click on After Effects, we're still in ProAnimator. It's still running and sending its feedback. The thing is, it's just moved behind. It just brought the After Effects window to the foreground. Let's bring that up here. So we actually need to go back to ProAnimator and always click OK to get out of it. That sends us back to After Effects. A lot of people get stuck. They can't figure out why things aren't working. And that's because they switch to After Effects without clicking OK. They don't see those obscured windows and they think, geez, something's not right. I see After Effects. It's because they're actually running ProAnimator and forgot to switch. Always click that OK button. So now we have our logo here. It has a background. It's got a beautiful reflection map. Everything looks really pretty sweet. This is just tapping the power of the layer map. And that's really how we can move animated elements from After Effects or textures from After Effects easily back and forth with ProAnimator. Let's go ahead and start adding some animation perhaps to a layer or some textures and bump maps. These Skyliners have great fans, and we want to honor those fans by including them in our logo. Now that we understand that we can send a layer as a layer map and a texture over to ProAnimator, let's import some footage we have of some fans. In reality, these aren't really the fans of the Skyliners. They are a preview clip downloaded from Pond 5, so this is just some stock footage. We're just going to use a preview comp for our demo today. And here are some baseball fans, honorary Skyliner fans. Let's drop them down here to the bottom. In fact, let's pre-comp this. And there's a reason we pre-comp it. Is any layer we want to use as a layer map, if I apply filters to it, they won't show up in ProAnimator unless it's been pre-comped. ProAnimator layer maps, it will only read the source material on that layer, not any effects applied. So let's pre-comp it. Open it up. Let's just do some very quick adjustments here. Take our layer. Let's just scale it to fill the frame, and maybe apply some color. Okay, so let's just go to some color correction. We'll keep everything very basic here. Now let's go to our colors. Now we know that our skyline or text layer is kind of this blue teal color, something in there. That's kind of nice. We'll just keep that. Let's rename this our fans. If we come back here to comp number 1, we have a comp, our fans. I'll turn the sound off. We can turn its visibility off too. We don't even need it. From the ProAnimator layer in the control panel, layer map number 2, our fans. Let's click on ProAnimator, go into Edit. We'll open up ProAnimator. And on our text layer, we can just highlight any of them. In our materials, we know that layer number 1 here, material number 1, that's our blue texture. Instead of using the blue, let's make this layer map number 2. And in fact, for the reflectivity, let's even use layer map number 1, which was the clouds. Have a little bit of reflection in there. And let's click OK, come back to After Effects, and look at that. Now wherever that texture was used, we have our fans, and we even have a little reflection map, which in these previews we can't see it, but the clouds are even blended in there as a little reflection. And when I look at it, I can see that it's not really the color I want. It's very busy, our fans. Here's one of the strengths of doing this. Since I'm feeding this layer with our fans to ProAnimator, I can update things right here in After Effects. It will update the texture. So let's click on our fans. And first of all, maybe let's blur them out a little bit. Let's just soften them up here. Add a little box blur. Oh, that's a little bit too much there. There we go. It's about so like that. Maybe add a little bit of glow to them and just kind of lighten them up. I'll pick some sapphire glow because I just love sapphire. And bring down the glow a little bit. And this is just for demonstration, so we'll say fine. That's a nice texture. I know we can't tell it's our fans anymore, but just by updating that, our texture map is also updated. And that's a pretty nice thing. So we can take this a step further. I'll just do 1 or 2 more of these because I think you're getting the idea. This is how layer maps work. We set up a layer and send it to ProAnimator. Let's make one more new composition here. And DV size is fine. And fill it with a solid. This time let's make it orange. Now I already have orange here because I've done this before to make sure this would work for you. And to this orange, let's just add a simple effect. The effect will be, let's generate a light sweep. We'll use CC light sweep here. And there's a light sweep. Maybe make it a little more intense. Maybe bring down its edge thickness there. And that's great. And we can animate this. I'll drag it across here and add a keyframe. Maybe 3 seconds down the road. Let's just drag it back. There we go. And pull it across here. And if I'd like that to repeat without doing an expression, let's just make this, whoops, let's make that a hold keyframe. I'll just copy these 2 keyframes, move ahead a second or 2, and paste it again. And now we have 2 light sweeps. Okay, nothing spectacular, but let's call this orange light sweep. Orange light weep. I think we can do better than that. Let's go orange light sweep. Sweep. There we go. And again, add this to our comp number 1. can turn it off. I can even send it to the back. I'm using keyboard shortcuts for this. Back on our ProAnimator layer, another layer map, and we call this the orange light sweep. Let's go back into ProAnimator and our orange sunburst. It would be nice if we could just kind of modify this a little bit. Let's go ahead and click our orange sunburst, which is probably locked. Yep. And that should be our sunburst. It is. On its texture maps, the nice orange solid, let's add layer map number 3. That's all I have to do. And also a little reflectivity. Make it a little shinier and see those clouds. Or even our people, but we'll make it clouds. Okay. So now what will happen is we have an orange, what was the orange solid, makes it textured, but you see there's our gleam. And if I drop this down, in draft mode we can't see it. That's how it works so fast. But as I run through, there's the gleam goes shining through. You can see it even in low resolution. And we'll see it when I render this. And we've added animation using effects only in After Effects, but map them into our logo. Well, one final thing here. I can do the same thing and give a little more texture even to that layer. Let's import one other file that I've prepared just for this. I'm calling this the noise tile. Now I did this in Photoshop, and it's just a 200 by 200 square with some noise in it. We're going to use that as a bump map. I'm going to just drop this in here. I'll turn it off. Just to get it out of the way, let's drop it to the bottom. One more ProAnimator layer map. We'll make that the noise tile. Click into ProAnimator. Let's go back to our sunburst. And on our bump map, let's choose layer map 4. We know that's our noise tile. And just give it a little bit of texture in there. That would be pretty nice. Maybe even, I was thinking about the baseball. Let's unlock that. That's solid white in there. Let's look at that material. That's solid white. Click on it, and we'll add layer map 4. We'll add a little texture in there too. Maybe that's a little bit of grain for our leather. Click OK. Let's update and look at that. Now we have some bumps in our leather. We have some texture in our orange. I'll make this full for this one frame. And everything's looking pretty nice. We just keep adding on these textures. So that's how we use layer maps. Pretty important. It is the key for going back and forth. A couple other things I'll touch on really quick because we don't have all day here. This is a tutorial and you're watching it, I think, for free. So I can't give away all the secrets. But one nice thing is, even though we preset this to use the camera inside a ProAnimator, if you want to build a 3D object with ProAnimator, you can, and still you can use the After Effects camera to animate. So let's do that. For an example, let's show a new camera. I'll just click a default. And at first it won't do anything because these are all 2D layers. But if we go into the ProAnimator control panel, see right here, use the comp camera. Now if I click on this, all those moves we did with our camera earlier will not be read. We're going to have our default camera. But I can move this camera. We'll drop back into draft mode just so I can do this quickly. But now we use the After Effects camera to animate. And you can link this to a null. You can do whatever you like with it. You can move your camera around and we can fly into and out of our logo all in 3D. Works really nice. Look at that. There we go. Right in there in 3D. So you have the power of the camera. Lighting is another one. You can also start using After Effects lights, and I'll just add one here. In its default, it's pretty low for my last setting here. We'll just set that up. I'll add one light, and in ProAnimator, We click on our layer, use the comp lights, and now you can light inside of After Effects 2. And I'll just pull the light back. We're in draft mode still. Of course, if I go to full res, it will take a while to render. But there we go. I've kind of blown out my scene here, and everything's kind of chunky. So we're going to turn off those options. I just wanted to mention that they work. And turn that off. There we go. Finally, we have the power of After Effects. We can do our comping and our touch-up and our color grading all in here without having to pre-render anything. So I'm going to turn off our background initially here. Turn that off. There we go. Let's add a new adjustment layer to the top of our comp and maybe add a few finishing features. Things I'll use really fast. Maybe a film effect to just kind of give some warmth here. Let's warm that up. I'll do everything. Let's turn on our background too. And this is the sapphire film effect, which has some cool controls in it. Now everything's overlit, but I'm not worrying about that either at the moment. Maybe we can add another effect, maybe a vignette. Plenty of ways to make vignettes. I'll just use a preset one that's done with the sapphire filter. I'll go ahead and adjust that light, and then we'll finish it off. Back into ProAnimator. Where's our ProAnimator layer? Okay, it's up. Here we go. ProAnimator. Check out our lights. Maybe make them a little bit more dramatic. Maybe in fact bring its intensity down a little bit. I can do a test render here, just render one frame for the lighting. Alright, that's fine. Let's come back. And there we go. That looks good. We'll turn off our light and camera. We're not using those. We'll just delete them. So that's it. This is how, when we come into After Effects, it's the power of layer maps. Anything you want to do on a layer, you can add to ProAnimator, send it over, use it as a texture, make a bump map, add animated gleams, reflections, lights, and then in After Effects, do all your compositing, do all your effects. In fact, we'll add a glow right to our ProAnimator layer. A little trap code, star glow. This is not going to look pretty, folks, but we'll add it anyway. And it'll render a little bit. There we go. Look at all of that sparkling. Bring the threshold down a little bit. There we go. And we get some beautiful sparkles, nice edges. I'll render this out. We can take a look at how it looks. And this is it. All of this right inside of After Effects. Effects to your heart's content, all in 3D, and you didn't have to learn any deep 3D programming. So, I'm Rob Bernholz for AE Tuts Plus, and hope you learned a lot today. I'll see you next time. Have no idea what we'll talk about, but we'll figure something cool out. See ya.